Welcome back after that short break. This is Econo Chat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Staman. If you have just tuned in on your power station Energy 100, we are talking about the economy, and the question is what drives the economy and what is linked to inflation.
Okay, what is the link between inflation and communication? For this, we need to revert to the academic side of economics, and we not going back too far in history, 200 years, 220 years. It's not a lot. The first economists, they came from a background where there wasn't really an established discipline, academic economics. It was based on notions and perceptions, and they saw the working of the markets and the value of money and all the stuff that you and I discuss every week, but there was no formalized framework. There was very little jargon, and it was in a certain sense anecdotal, based on what this guy sees here and what you saw there, but not really benchmarked or measured or quantified. And this changed gradually as the industrialization process in the UK started gathering steam, literally and figuratively, because everything then ran on steam. So the energy was steam, and you use coal or wood, not like we do today, diesel or petrol or electricity. But what they found out is that you need three components to make an economy work. First one is what we discussed in our first part of our talk, is energy. The second one is communication, and the third one is transport. Now, if you think about this a little, you can reduce this to a common sense perception, because if you don't have electricity, you can't run a factory, you can't even run a light bulb. You need electricity to run everything that you need to make everything else. So energy is your fundamental number one. Whatever it is that you make or grow or produce, if you want to sell it to somebody, you have to be able to call somebody, to talk to somebody, to have a meeting, to agree on a price, to agree on a commodity, what it is that you want me to send to your market and how much do you offer. So you need to be able to communicate. It's the second, I want to call it ultimate basic of an economy. And the third one is, after you've spoken to whoever else is in the value chain and to whoever else you make an agreement with, you actually need to get the stuff there. Or you have to, if you're like a lawyer and you sell your services, if you need to appear in court, you have to get yourself there.
Which is transport.
So the third one is transport. Those are the three quintessential basic drivers of the economy. And now we've seen that energy, number one, the prices of fuel and of electricity have gone up tremendously. Fuel, you see the effect that many prices are doubling, and you wonder why. And that's because everything depends on energy. Now you look at communications. Communications today are highly technology driven. But if there's pervasive inflation in the whole world economy like there is now, for whatever reason, you see that in the technology, and your communications goes up, and the last one, transport, is obvious because it depends on energy. So everything that you need to get to a market or a service provider, that you need to get to a specific place where he or she has to work on your behalf, everything is infected by inflation. And I use the word infected deliberately, because I want the listeners to understand that You know what I always say is that there's no fundamental reason why we need to have this massive inflation in Namibia for the last year. We didn't cause it. Did your salary go up by 40%? You're very lucky if your salary went up at all. You know, and the benchmark level now is somewhere between 3 and 5%.
Yeah.
But in the supermarket, I see food has gone up by more than 40%.
Yeah.
And I ask myself, if it's a low-income household and it's rice and mealie meal and sugar and cooking oil, basics. And those have, in some cases, some of them have doubled, but all of them have gone up by more than 40%. Some of them very close to 50%. And I make that calculation. You're a family, you take home between 12 and 15,000 Namibia dollar in a month. You have to pay where you stay, you have to pay for the car or the taxi, for the children at school, and you have to buy groceries. You know, I can't see how you can make it if everything is 40% more expensive now than what it was a year ago. You see, and that is, I don't want to call it criminal, because then I sound like an alarmist. But when I'm in the supermarket, I see red lights flashing all the time. Because I think back 2008, price of crude oil, 2009, social upheaval. And I see what's happening now. It's a repeat. The cost of living gets beyond the means of many people. And if it continues like this, I can guarantee you we will have serious problems before the end of this year.
Let's quickly go for a short break before we get into that one, okay?
Think about what I just said.
I am thinking about it. Let's go for that short break.